This is Solo Travel Talk. Your solo travel advisor is Astrid Clements.
It's been the basis of many, many holiday movies. It's almost a universal trope. The madcap craziness and completely stressful holiday travel. Does traveling during the holidays have to be an unmitigated disaster? I'm producer Catherine O'Brien, and there's only one voice I trust to give me the straight scoop on stress-free, or maybe just stress-significantly reduced holiday travel, and that is the solo travel advisor, Astrid Clements. Astrid, has holiday solo travel gotten better or worse in recent years?
Well, unfortunately, it's gotten worse. And only really because there's so many more people traveling. The airports are more crowded, and with all of these people trying to get to destinations and the airlines having to deal with weather and different things that they can't totally control or predict. And once things kind of start going south, it just backs everything up. It can be very stressful because one little domino falling can and it can go downhill. So I have to say, I think in general, it's becoming worse only because of the amount of people that are traveling. But then there's a lot of wonderful things about it. There are a lot more things to do that people who are in the travel industry or people that want people to come and either shop in their shops or eat in their restaurants or go to their markets, etc. They do a lot of things to entice people to travel to these destinations at this time. But I think I must say, I think it's overall, it's more stressful.
I guess I wanted a little confirmation. It seems more stressful, so I wanted you to say, yes, that's in fact, it is getting worse.
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, I hate that, but it is.
We should tell listeners that we're planning an episode on destination holiday travel, and that for this show, we're dealing more with logistics and other things that make the process of getting to our holiday destinations a little easier. So on that note, what tips do you have for planning in advance for making holiday travel easier?
Okay, well, just a couple of things dealing with money-saving tips, because anything that kind of goes downhill or goes off the track will cost you money. So, book early, because if you book early, your flights and your hotels, you stand to get the best deals. Bundle those two things at least. If you're doing car rental, you can also put that in the bundle. But if you book your hotel and your flight together, you can save anywhere from 10 to 35% on Expedia or Booking.com. And it depends, too, when you book it. So it's not a hard and fast rule, but to bundle, you will save money. Avoid peak travel days. Don't travel 2 or 3 days before the holiday, the specific holiday, or afterwards. If you can travel on Christmas Day or Thanksgiving Day or New Year's Day, it will be cheaper to do so. And then if you can avoid parking in the airport garage, get somebody to take you to the airport, do it, because a lot of airports, they hike their fees during this season. And then a lot of the parking lots can be full. I know in New Orleans, I have experienced where both short-term and long-term is full. So you have to take the shuttle to these outerlying parking lots. And, that takes time, etc. So just know that the cars are going to be jammed into the parking lots. Okay, now, these are not totally money-saving tips. These are just either logistical tips or things that just make things smoother. Number one, direct flight. If you can get a direct flight, like say if you want to go to Europe, if you can fly from, we're from Louisiana, New Orleans to Frankfurt direct, or New Orleans to London is much better than New Orleans, Atlanta, London, or New Orleans, New York, Paris, or whatever. If you don't have those connecting flights, that it lessens the chance for something to go wrong, okay? Then if you have to have the connecting flights, make sure that there's sufficient time for connections. And during the holiday season, minimum of 3 hours, because weather, the people, all kinds of things go wrong, a minimum of 3 hours. The next, arrive at the airport early. And this is always, I'm one of these people, I don't like to waste time. I don't like to go too early, but go early during this, because there are all kinds of things. And I'm going to go through, I'm going to paint you a picture a little later on the broadcast of when things start going bad, how bad they can get fast. So
hold on. Hold on, everyone.
So number one, leave early, and earlier than you typically do, because there are more people that are heading to the airport. Smart packing. Less is more. If you can get away with only doing a carry-on in a big tote or a backpack, it's much better than if you have to check luggage, because that's another added step. And anything you have to do that goes into somebody else's hands, etc., during this high peak time where it's stressful, people might not even be paying attention as much because they're thinking about going to a party at night and they forget your luggage and then it doesn't make it there, and everybody gets their bag but you. I've had that before. I'll stand in those lines and watch that, and mine is the only bag that doesn't come out. Oh, that is such a sinking feeling. So smart packing. Then don't wrap your gifts. TSA now, if you have wrap gifts and they tag your luggage, they're going to open it up, they're going to unwrap your gifts, and then you're going to be hacked when you get to your destination. And you see that because you have to go buy wrapping paper and everything. So either send them before or don't wrap them and bring the paper and ribbons in your bag. Okay. Make sure your cell phone is fully charged and that you have an extra charger and cables in your carry-on, and you have that adapter that you can charge it up, because if you're delayed or whatever and then your phone runs down and you need it, I'll never forget. My son went with me one time to Paris, and we were on different flights. He was flying from New York, Aer Lingus. Then we were going to meet in London and then take a flight to Paris. Well, we had tremendous weather delay, and he had like 45 minutes in Dublin to get his connecting flight. And I had, I think, an hour and something. I had more time in London, okay? When the weather delay was, we were on the tarmac for about an hour, and then I actually saw his plane take off in front of me. I said, oh, God, I don't think he can make his connection. And he doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, this is the first time he was going to Europe. I said, oh, God, this could go downhill fast. I land in London, and I'm in the line, and our thing was we were going to text each other once we got there. So I get in the line, and lo and behold, my son texts me. He says, I'm here in London. Where are you? I said, and I thought, thank God he made it. I don't know how he made it. It's grace of God. They must have gunned that plane and got it quicker. Then his phone died. He was supposed to meet me in the line, and then he never got to the immigration line. I thought, where is that kid? So then I got through and I went to Air France, and I didn't hear. I mean, I started sweating. This girl, this woman, she says, are you okay? And I said, well, yeah, I'm okay, but I don't know. My son is lost in this airport. At Heathrow. And it was like about 15 minutes before the flight was to take off. And then here he shows up with a London airport security guy. His phone had died. So he tried to figure out how to get there. He almost got on the subway that he thought was connecting, but it went into town. I mean, then he tried to get another charger in the stores. They have the stores. Well, he didn't have the adapter. I mean, it was a complete...
one thing after another.
Oh, it was horrible. But he didn't make it. But my point is charge your phone. we're so dependent on cell phones. So have that extra charger, have that extra cable and the adapter in your carry-on. I mean, just always do that. Then if you bring in anything that's important to you, like meds, bring them in your carry-on. Just don't take the chance and put them in your checked luggage. Register with STEP. I've talked about this a lot on the podcast and the blogs that I do. This is a smart travelers enrollment program that if you're a United States citizen, you can enroll with the U.S. State Department and tell them your itinerary, where you're going to be staying, your personal contact information for relatives or friends or whatever at home in the event something happens, whether it's man-made or a natural disaster, or you have an accident, you're in a bad accident, or you get real sick and you need to go to the hospital. They are there to help you, and they will, if say there's political unrest or an earthquake or whatever, they will text you and they will email you, don't go in this area, or you need to find transportation to the airport this way. This is how you can get there. They're very, very concerned now about American travelers, and they're really developing all of their resources to help American travelers stay safe. And this is great, okay? So I really stress that if you're going outside the United States, you need to get in the habit of enrolling your trip in the STEP system. TSA pre-check, if you don't have that, go ahead, take the time to do it. Find where the office is in your town or close to you and do it. Because, I talk about this too. There's nothing better than you can go fast on that pre-check line. Don't have to take your shoes off usually or whatever. And everybody else is, and it takes them a lot longer than you. So that, as well as global entry for international flights. Purchase travel insurance. This is really almost a no-brainer now if you go outside of the United States. You never can tell what's going to happen. And when things happen, that costs you money. And a lot of times the travel insurance will reimburse you for something you can't control, or at least half of it. So it's inexpensive, and it's a good thing to have, especially in the event of an accident. You get a real good policy. You can get medvaced home. It's something that you should just always do, just like the STEP program. But this is, to me, even more important. And I'll give you a tip. I now, on my website, astridtravel.com, I'm affiliated with Allianz, and they do travel insurance. And I suggest that you look at their policies, and, if you want to, you can go ahead and get them on my site.
And I'll put a link in the show notes so people can easily do that.
Okay. Pre-trip research. That's another thing to keep the stress down. You want to know something about the culture, what there is to do, eat, see, drink, the entertainment, etc., when things are closed or open. There's nothing worse to travel somewhere and know that there's another holiday like Boxing Day in London. So you not only have Christmas Eve, Christmas, the next day is Boxing Day, and then everybody, is kind of coming out of all of their festive mood the next day. So you can lose 3 to 4 days in London during this time of year if you're not prepared for how you're going to spend that time. So you need to know really a little bit about what to expect during the holiday season where you're going. And here again, talking about the State Department, they have great information on countries and where the holidays are, what to do, what not to do, things about their culture. Go to the State Department website and look in the travel section and hit on that country, and that'll be some of your pre-trip research, and it'll help you know things you should know before you go. Another thing, sounds kind of trite or you wouldn't think about it, but wear your bulky, your heavier clothes on the flight. I mean, before I have worn like a fur coat and a heavy sweater and layers and boots and brought, a tote full of stuff. But, if you're going to be staying for a while, you don't want to have those over baggage fees, and you can always take, peel everything off once you get on the plane. So that's just a little tip to keep you from stressed out with having those over baggage fees or whatever. Because if you want to bring a pair of boots or two, boots are heavy and a coat is heavy. And, even if it's not going to be that cold, but you're considering that it could turn cold, so you have to have a heavier coat. If you pack it, that's going to be another couple pounds. And then after that, those pounds, mount up. So wear your heavier or bulkier clothes. Reading and entertainment materials, bring those. Do have something that will entertain you in the event there is something that goes wrong in your logistics getting there. There's, weather delays or, plane has to be, I can't stand when I'm traveling and they say, well, we're delaying the flight for an hour and a half because we have some mechanical issues. Especially if the plane, this is the first flight out. I always think, well, didn't they know when they shut it down at night that the hydraulic system wasn't working or whatever? So then once that happens, oh my God, then you're going to miss your connecting flight and then you're sitting in the airport. So bring something to read. Weigh your luggage before you leave home. That I was just talking about the overweight fees. Get a little scale. You can go to my marketplace on my website in the Astrid Travel Essentials. I have a very inexpensive scale, but it's great. Take that with you. Weigh your bag before you leave. Know that you're not overweight, as well as your carry-on, because they're now even some airlines are weighing the carry-ons. You can't stuff them with bricks and not pay. Some I've already, they will weigh you too.
No, thank you.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get that way.
Oh boy.
So get you a little scale, and then when you're coming home, you'll know that your bag is either overweight, you have to shift some things out, or you send the things home. And that's cheaper than those over baggage fees. Okay. Then before you leave home, get some cash changed in the currency that you're using. And you can do this 2 or 3 weeks before with your bank. And it's cheaper to do that. And plus you'll have the money when you get there. Cause I know if I don't do it, I'm always looking for the ATM machine in the airport. They have them, but typically you're going to have some of those exchange fees. They're going to be more than you normally do. So, think about getting some cash in their currency before you leave. It's not a total must, but it is if you're going somewhere more exotic, cause sometimes they don't have the ATM machines right there.
Plus, if we're talking about reducing stress, you might as well just have it, and then you can just check it off your list.
Yeah, exactly. Then if you're going to bring cash, like cash from home, $100 bills, and you want to exchange them, make sure they're clean and crisp and late date bills. Because I'll never forget, I was in St. Petersburg, Russia during the holiday season, and I had the $100 bills. I just had cash because I had some 20s and 100s, and I thought, well, I'll get some of the smaller bills cashed and then whatever. Well, I went to give them $100 bills. They wouldn't take 3/4 of them because they were old. They want crisp, clean, $100 bills that are late editions, and more countries are doing this. So I just share that little tip with you. Don't take old dirty money. If you're gonna take,
I will accept old dirty money, but yeah,
yeah,
not the.
Okay, then alert your credit card companies and your bank before you leave. I mean, there's nothing worse than you hit touchdown and you go to use it, declined, or your debit card or whatever. Just make sure you do that. because it'll happen, and then you'll have to get on the phone, and then if your phone is run down, you can't call them. If you don't have cash, how are you going to take the taxi? It could happen.
Oh, yeah.
Look, let me tell you, if you get preoccupied and you don't do this before you leave, and then you go, oh, God, and then your flight's too early, you don't have time to do it, it can happen. It can happen. Then make copies of your itinerary, your passport, your credit card information. Know the phone numbers and addresses of the U.S. Embassy if you're a U.S. citizen, and the American hospitals or I know this sounds, but make a copy of that. Give one copy to, either your husband who's staying at home, like my sweet dear husband who lets me travel solo all over the world because he doesn't want to go do all the things that I like to do anymore. Or, you're some family member or friend that if you lose it, you can call them. Plus, make another copy for yourself. And I always put it in the lining. I have zip lining in my carry-on, and I put it in there. In the event I lose my purse or something, then I have a copy of my passport number, my visa, all these things. And then once I touch down, at least they'll let me into the country. And then I'll have to go to the embassy, or I'll have to start working my problem out. But please do this. This is very important, because otherwise they might not let you in. You have to get back on another plane and leave. We're talking about things that will stress you out and mess up a vacation. Well, I'm just trying to tell you, do these things, these steps, be disciplined about that, and your odds are lower that something is going to go wrong, or when it does, that you can handle it. Stop your mail, stop your newspaper. You don't want to come home and somebody's broken into your house because you forgot to do this. I know this sounds, and it's one of those things that can slip your mind easy. Yeah. Easy. So do that, or arrange for your neighbor to pick it up, whatever. So those are some of the things that I think you should pay attention to.
All right. Let's keep going here with our holiday traveling stress reduction plan. Okay. Worst case scenario, despite all the great pre-travel planning, what suggestions do you have for coping when things start getting disastrous during our travel?
Okay, well, before I talk about coping and my coping tips, I'm going to give you a scenario of this domino effect of how bad something can happen.
Because it can get bad. It can get bad.
Let me tell you. Say you have a real early flight. You're flying to Europe, but you have to leave real early. And we live in Louisiana. We don't have a lot of direct flights. But I want to paint a picture of how things can go downhill. Say you have a real early flight out and you have to get up at 3:00 in the morning. Well, oh God, when you hear your phone go off or your alarm go, bing, bing, 3, you can say, oh God, well, I'm just going to lay here a little bit. Well, you lay here a little bit and then you wake up in a panic and it's 3:25. Well, you're already a little later. So you rushing to make your coffee, jump in the bathtub, and you're just rushing. So already that stress is starting to build. Then I live in a 2-story home, so I have to take my bags down. And if I don't take the big bag, if I'm taking one bag that I'm a check-in, if you're stressing, you could actually fall down the stairs. Now, I haven't done that yet, but let me tell you something. At that time in the morning, when you're stressed out and then you have this bag and then you got, I'm going to have to go 85 miles an hour to the airport. It's all these little things that are subtly building up. So you get in the car and you know that you have cut it too close to get to the airport. And my God, there's halfway there or 20 minutes before you get to airport, you hit an accident, you hit a traffic jam, you go, oh my God, I'm going to miss my flight. I can't believe this. Well, you happen to get there. You're rushing in. You get to the counter. They take your bag. They actually let you in, and then you get in the security line. You make it through the security line, but you're too late to get in the plane. They have shut the door. And they will not let you out. If you get there 1 second after they've shut that door, they won't, because it's the security's things that they go through now. They will not do it. So your suitcase is on the plane. It's checked all the way to, say, Paris. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have a choice. Then you go back to the counter. You say, oh my God, I have got to be in New York by this time, or I'm not gonna make my flight, and then my bag's gonna be there. So you happen to go around the world, Memphis, Detroit, and get there. Well, you do that, and then there's weather delays or something else happens. So you miss that flight, and you have to spend the night in New York City, an airport hotel, which they're horrible. I've done it before. I'm just trying to tell you how bad a trip can get. So then you just decide, well, I'm just going to have to handle this, So they book you on the next flight, and a lot of times it's very early. So you don't sleep that night either. You have to get up like 4:00 again and get to the airport and all this kind of stuff. So you get on that other flight. You finally make it there, and then, you try to get your luggage, and oh my God, you've got to file a luggage claim. And if you don't pay attention to where those stubs were, because a lot of times you'll get your boarding pass and they have the other little stubs, they'll clip them into something else. And if you don't pay attention to where you're putting them, you might have accidentally left them somewhere. If you're so stressed out, let me tell you something, that can happen. So then you have to file a luggage claim, which is a real aggravation. You file the luggage claim, you tell them where they are, and then it takes them, usually a day to get you your luggage. And most of the time your luggage gets there. But here you get to the hotel. You've been in the same clothes now going on 3 days. And this is no way to start a holiday trip. But let me tell you, during this season, and the more you travel, it's going to happen to you. Yeah. I'm just telling you. So it behooves you to get into good habits and to do these things. So when things go downhill, you know how to cope. Because let me tell you, especially when you're a solo traveler, some people just break down and cry. Others get so mad. Yeah. And it's just terrible. I mean, I can tell you. So you just have to get yourself disciplined and then also practice Zen. Because usually things will work out eventually. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I can tell you, I have experienced this more than I want to admit. And a lot of times it's really not your fault, because there'll be weather delays or, here again, mechanical problems with planes. And that always gets me so aggravated. But they have a lot of maintenance standards, which, I've done a show on flying and a podcast on flying and safety. And they do a lot of checks and rechecks. That doesn't change what happens to you. And those vouchers do not make you that happy. No way. So things are going to go wrong. I tell you, the more you travel, the more your odds go up. And the more people that are traveling, when you're traveling, the more things are going to get stressful. It's happening more and more now. And people just are more stressful everywhere.
Astrid, do you feel like the stakes are a little bit higher because it's the holidays? Like people feel like the disasters might be feeling a little amplified because it's like, not only is it just a trip is being ruined, but my holidays on top of it are in jeopardy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because everybody, as much as they want to say, oh, I love the holiday season and everything. I mean, I know in the United States, unless you're retired and you don't have anything to do and, most of your relatives or whatever are like that. So they're just looking forward to being together and they're not stressed out. But most people, unfortunately, in this modern world, are stressed out. So during the holiday season, there's just more things you have to do. And then you're wanting it to be so good. And then on top of just being tired and stressed out or having to do more. And then when somebody says something to you that brownies are overcooked or whatever you've done, you get all, so that is in the air. That's in the air whether you're traveling or you're at home. So the people that you deal with, the service personnel, everything. So there is that edge. There is. So you, like I said, you try to be real zen-like. Just, hey, I'm going to go with the flow no matter what.
I think with the travel, and the reason I wanted to have this topic is it seems like there's this heightened expectation plus the practical consideration of just more people traveling and more chance for things to go wrong. And that seems like a dangerous combination.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then on top of that, people are I think deep down inside, they're more fearful of travel now. It's like, oh, I'm taking this risk. What happens if this happens? What happens? Because they were exposed to so much media, which really does make me upset because I can tell you, it affects me sometimes. And then I just say, well, I'm just going to do it because I refuse to let this scare me so much that I won't go. Now, I don't go to places that are actively dangerous, but there are a lot of places like Paris. Yeah. A lot of people don't want to go to Paris now because of the things that have happened. And granted, that is a factor. I would not say that is not a factor and that something couldn't happen in this upcoming holiday season. But I love Paris so much. I love to travel so much. I'm willing to take that risk. Mm. And so that's in the back of the mind of people's minds too.
Well, and I hadn't really considered it before, but I wonder too, if something bad happened during the holidays, it seems sadder than if it was happening during another time of year. I mean, I think that I think we do have a ton of expectations tied into the holidays, even if our rational brain knows that it's just another time of year. It's like I think there's probably something young in us that wants it to be really something set aside and special.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, this happened on Christmas. Yeah. I mean, how bad
it couldn't get any worse. Yeah. Christmas is ruined. Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
My couple of key coping skills, and this goes more into the Zen part of it. Number one, don't panic. When things go wrong, refuse to panic. I always tell myself, okay, now let me start thinking, how can I solve this problem? Can I go to the concierge? Do I need to call the embassy? Who can I get to help me to figure out what I need to do to solve it? Because most things are solvable. Some take longer than others, and that's what will stress you out is when it's just dumb, okay? And then here you've wasted a day or two having to solve this, like your credit card. You leave it at the restaurant, and then you go back to get it, or you figure out where you got it, and then they say, well, we don't have it. You didn't leave it here. Well, somebody probably took it. So then you have to go find your paper where you've made your credit card copies and get that number, call the credit card company, then they overnight you a credit card. But for those 24 hours or 36 hours, you don't have your credit card. And then, if you don't have enough on your debit card or whatever it is, I mean, it's those kinds of things, but they'll work themselves out. So most things do. But if you panic and you get all stressed out, that's not going to help any. It's just going to make you more upset. It does. So just refuse to panic. That is number one. Buy travel insurance is number two. So when you have these things that go wrong that you're having to pay for, say, you missed your flight, you end up having to stay in the airport hotel, then you've already paid for your hotel the night and you can't use that, so you're paying for 2 hotels in one night. And then the limo service that was supposed to pick you up was there, and then you weren't there, so you're charged for that. Then, it can just mount up. So, if you have travel insurance, they cover a lot of the things that you can't control that cost you extra money. And believe me, if you have travel insurance, it's not going to be as stressful, because you'll know, well, I'll just have to go through the process of filing the claim, but you won't completely just be blowing money.
Yeah.
Because that really gets on my nerves.
Oh, yeah.
Because if I can't help it and then it starts going downhill, then also when it starts to go wrong, let me tell you, just try to go with the flow. Let it go. Fix what you can fix, and what you can't fix, just let it go. And I know that sounds terrible. If you lost you lost one bag where you have all these great shoes in there, which you shouldn't have brought, your most expensive shoes, But if it happens, just say, okay, let it go. I have this philosophy that if I lose something, especially if it's really meaningful to me, I just refuse to worry about it, because 9 times out of 10 it comes back to me some kind of weird way, or something better will happen. But if I hook into getting all bent out of shape about it, it makes it a lot worse. So, just let it go. Then also, just always have an air of confidence. Just keep trying to, when you're a solo traveler, just be confident. Even if things start to go wrong, do not act like you're all upset, start crying, or get all mad. Just breathe and just be confident, and keep trying to solve whatever you need to solve with a confident presence about you, because that'll get you. People will help you a lot more. If they see you upset and everything, some people might feel sorry for you and kind of help you, but they might also lead you further astray.
Yeah.
So that's to me, that confidence is, and work on always being confident. Then when it happens and, there's a lot, then just kind of sit back and say, well, what am I supposed to learn from all of this? This, and I'll even go to the point where, well, this is just part of the memories of this trip, because I can tell you, every trip that you go on, you gain something from it. You learn something, even from the bad experiences. It just changes you in a way. So just take it as part of the trip's memories. And I know that is not good, but let me tell you, you'll learn your lesson. And if you oversleep by that 25 minutes, like I said in that scenario I gave you, you will not do it again. You will decide, I will go to the airport the night before, spend the night at the airport hotel so I can wake up at a decent time and get to the terminal at 5 o'clock or whatever time I need to be there. That makes much more sense than to take the risk again when you just can't stand to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then try to make lemonade out of triple lemons, because they're going to happen. Then, and I've been talking about this the whole show, the more you're prepared, for a disaster or what could go wrong, by being disciplined, by doing certain things, the easier you'll be able to survive it, work through it, and then continue on your solo vacation. This is a vacation. And even if things go wrong, but if you're prepared, if you've kind of prepared for if this or that can tell you, can be worked out much easier. If you're not prepared, if you don't have a copy of your passport and your number, and then you have to go to the embassy and all of that, you're going to spend a couple of days, or, say you lose it en route. They will not let you in the country where you've landed. And that is really awful. So be prepared. And I'll end with the saying that, I think is one of the best sayings in the whole wide world for just life in general is keep calm and just carry on. Just when you're traveling and even in your life, when things go wrong, just to the best of your ability, just keep calm and just keep carrying on. I can tell you that attitude will carry you through so many things that could really allow yourself to be sad or hurt or in a bad place. That's the show today, and I'm so looking forward to my holiday trip to Paris, and any of the listeners who are thinking about going somewhere for the holidays or that they've already planned it. I hope you use some of these tips, or these tips have been great to help you reduce your stress or also prevent you from getting stressed out. So thanks for listening.
Dear listeners, not only do you have to prepare to make your holiday travel smooth, you'll have to pack too. Sorry, I can't get you out of that one. A packing list might help you. You can get your own copy of Astrid's complimentary packing list. Just go to astridtravel.com, download the packing list. It's right there on the front page. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and any of the finer places that podcasts can be found. We love people to rate, review, and subscribe to the show. Why? Because it helps other solo travelers get this valuable information. Thank you so much for listening. We are wishing you the most amazing stress-free holidays and stress-free holiday travel. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Solo Travel Talk. Follow Astrid on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. To learn more about Astrid or Solo Travel Advisors, visit her website, astridtravel.com.